Okay, so as I say, we're here today because of Walk With Me, new fundraising challenge. We were asked because obviously it's been a strange year, you might have noticed, and it's particularly difficult for a lot of the Catholic parishes here in Scotland, as well as tough for Skiaf as well. So we're asking our supporters to walk collectively, distance from Glasgow to Bethlehem, and raise money doing it to support the parish and also Skiaf as well, which is a great initiative. It's a great idea, and we'll be having a chat with Louise, whose baby it is, towards the end of our time together this afternoon. But I thought that it'd be a good idea to talk to Paul Drury, Skiaf's fundraising manager, about this, because Paul, if you don't know, is a man who absolutely loves fundraising. A few weeks ago, he did a 20-minute kilt walk for Skiaf. Before that, he cycled playing the tuba. He was going to abseil off the Fort Worth Bridge, zip line over the Clyde. He had fun runs galore, overnight sleep outs. He slept in the pitch at Hampden, possibly during a game. Done a parachute jump. You name a daft activity, and he has done it for charity. So I wanted to ask you, Paul, why? Why have you done all those things?
Afternoon, Ian. I think I like to do these things because effectively I just like doing my bit. I think there is something when you're heading up a fundraising organisation or a fundraising activity at an organisation like Skiaf. I think it's kind of important to, wherever possible, live out your experience. I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything that I'm not prepared to do myself. That's the first reason. I would be at these events anyway, so why not try and raise a bit of money while I'm there and participate in them. The second reason, and I guess perhaps the most important reason, I'm not a rich man. I work for Skiaf. Of course, I'm not a rich man. So I can't give lots of money myself. But what I can do, I'm quite fortunate to have quite a large network of people who I know and I'm acquainted with. So what I feel is really important whenever I am taking part in an event, say for Skiaf, I like to encourage my networks and my friends and people who I've known in previous jobs and through my hobbies, etc., to get involved and to help me to do something and to really just help them stop and think about what it is that Skiaf does and why that is important.
And what do you get personally out of doing these things, as well as it's leading from the front and it's making people think about the causes? What's the personal benefits for you? How do you feel when you're doing one of these things?
I get quite a lot of self-satisfaction, not in a smug way or anything like that, but I just do enjoy just getting out and doing something, and on a very personal level, I do enjoy proving my wife wrong, because every time I sign up to do something, she says, "You'll never do that. You're not training for that. Or you'll never manage." And every time I do, and it just wins me a few brownie points in the house.
Oh, I'm sure she's delighted to be proven wrong.
Absolutely.
And I reeled off a big list of stuff you've done there, of kind of fundraising things. What are the ones that really stick in your mind, the particularly memorable ones?
I think I guess I've got two. I love jumping out of a plane. That was just crazy. That was a crazy experience, and I really enjoyed that. But the most memorable one I've done was the last one, I think, because it's most fresh in my memory. Getting up and leaving the house at 7:15 on a Saturday morning to walk from my house in Bowness to South Queensferry and back. It was such a lovely morning to do it, and you know, we're so lucky in this country, and the views that I had as I walked along the Forth were quite spectacular, and I really did enjoy it, even though I felt a tiny bit of a prat walking about through the countryside in a kilt. There was one chap who met me halfway around as I was just about to get into South Queensferry, and he looked at me and he said, "You're either on a sponsored walk or you're getting home from a very late night out." I was able to tell him I was on a sponsored walk.
It could have been both, of course, Paul. You know?
Good.
Okay, so just to zoom out a wee bit, what as a fundraising manager now, I should know the answer to this. I haven't been at Skiaf for a couple of years, but I feel it's not all, people in the wider world maybe don't always know. What is a fundraiser? What is it that you do?
Well, I guess what it is I do and the team here do is that we just work on building relationships as broad and as long and as high and as deep and as wide as we can possibly make them. I'm someone who I guess is paid to do their level best to bring in as much money as they can, in order that other talented and skilled people can do amazing things with it, and that means that no 2 days are often the same, and I'm lucky in my role that I get to see across the range of activities that we are involved in, whether that be our events, whether that be in linking in with our parishes and schools, or whether that be in working with our individual giving team, or indeed seeing the incredible generosity of people as they you know, leave gifts and their wills to us. So I'm a lucky person to be able to do what I do. But I guess if we were saying what are we, I guess we are relationship builders. That's the key thing.
And what attracted you to that line, or what makes you like them?
Simple one, really. I'm fortunate to meet some wonderful people. It's great whenever, I think particularly whenever I get out and I'm working and representing Skiaf, I just get a fantastic opportunity to meet people and to, you know, encounter people who are so keen to help. As I've said already, no 2 days are the same, and I like that about the job. I also have to say that I do quite enjoy the pressure of working towards targets and things like that. I think it's quite an exciting world to populate, and I think particularly for Skiaf, I can't do what our wonderful program staff do. I can't do what our wonderful finance staff do. I can't do what our wonderful HR staff do. But what I can do is I can hopefully mobilise a team to go out and build relationships and bring in money so that better people than me can go away and do incredible things with it.
And I think before you were at Skiaf, you were telling me that you were with, I think, Bethany Christian Trust, working around homelessness. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was at Bethany for, I think, 11 years. I come from a background of working in homelessness, over 20 years experience working in the homelessness sector. predominantly, it has to be said, as an operational person. So in my earlier career, I was involved in the running of young people's residential units. I worked with care leavers, helping them in their independent living. Worked with rough sleepers. So that was my job, and I went to Bethany originally as an operations director, and did that job for 4 or 5 years. And then the director of income generation decided to retire. And one day my boss, the chief exec, came to me and said, fancy a change? And do you fancy going and running our income generation department, which involved our fundraising marketing activity, but also our charity shops? So not having a clue what I was getting myself into, I said yes. And I have to say, raising money is a whole lot more difficult than spending it. And after all these years of spending money, it was a real challenge to start working on raising it. That was 8 or 9 years ago, and I can't see myself ever going back to operational work. I think it's fundraising where I'll find myself for the rest of my working days.
And I mean, do you think you're a better fundraiser having had that experience of the operational side?
I think so, and I'm not saying that everybody needs to, but I think using the experiences that you've had and the understanding of how difficult it is to run programs, when you're working with limited resources in an operational setting, it does allow me the opportunity to understand what is the impact of not raising the funds, which I think is absolutely crucial and central. So it has given me a wider perspective, and that continues now in my current role. Obviously, I've never had any operational responsibility at SCIAF, but it does allow me to think about what we do and how that impacts upon the work that SCIAF does overseas.
And so obviously, this Bethany, that's domestic focus and SCIAF's international focus. I mean, is it more different or is it more similar? Are there more things that are this is the same kind of organisation, or is it a totally new ball game coming to working for SCIAF?
I think my reflection on that would be that there are more similarities than differences. Mm-hmm. The key thing for me working in both settings has been the working in an environment which is seeking to help people make positive changes in their lives. The other thing that makes the two similar is that obviously both have been working with faith-based organisations, and as someone who has quite a long-standing and deep faith, that's something that I find makes both working environments quite comfortable. The challenge for me has been that obviously coming to SCIAF, an organisation that I knew an awful lot of by reputation, but knowing less about the actual work that SCIAF do, it's been a challenge for me to get to know the international development scene and SCIAF's place within it. So I've enjoyed that challenge of upskilling myself, into a new environment as I approached middle age. So that's been a good challenge for me.
I mean, what has surprised you about international development coming into it relatively fresh? What have you learned in the last 3 years that you wouldn't have thought?
I don't know if this has necessarily surprised me, but what has been hugely good for me is to find out just how similar people are, whether we're working with people in a parish, and I don't know, Tilakutri or somewhere like that, or you know, working with partners in South Sudan or DRC or wherever. The great reassurance is that people are the same, and if I can do my little bit to make that bridge between you know, our supporter base here and you know, our partners and beneficiaries across the world, if I can make that bridge as short and as wide as it can possibly be, then that's a good thing.
And I remember you telling me not long after you joined SCIAF, you went on a trip to India to see the work out there, a really big effect on you. What are your memories of that trip? What was it about it that really hit home for you?
Oh wow, life changing event for me. I think I'm very much a visual learner. Pictures and images are really helpful to me when I'm learning about things, and to see her work in India for myself, to see how things were done in the cities, to see how our partners work, and also to go deep into, you know, the countryside, hours and hours from anywhere, and to meet the people who, you know, our projects and programs were seeking to help. You know, I can close my eyes and you know, have loads of striking images that come back into my mind. Happy thoughts, lots of happy thoughts. Meeting a family, a chap called Gosh Snar and his wife and his young children. A guy who was making a massive change in his life, becoming a bit of an entrepreneur after having to, you know, in his earlier days, spend half his year away from his wife, working on a building site in Goa, and to see how the help that SCIAF had given to him had allowed him to set up a profitable farming business in his village, which meant that he could you know, properly educate his children. That was hugely edifying and was a great experience. But then sad times as well, and one that will stick with me for a long time was going to see the work of one of our partners, IGSSS. I think it was, or it might have been Caritas India. I can't honestly remember, who work in anti-trafficking projects, and meeting a mother whose daughter had been trafficked over the border into Nepal, not once but twice. And when I met her, she didn't know where her daughter was. That was a massively tragic experience, obviously, for that woman, and had a very serious impact on me, and helped me recognise that the work that we do isn't going away, and there's more, you know, there's more that we can do and more that we must do.
And going on a trip like that, is that what, and having met those people and helped by SCIAF, is that what keeps you coming back to the Zoom calls every morning, coming back into the office when we can do that? It keeps you going.
Yeah, I guess so. And it's we're all motivated by something, and you know, I know for myself what it is that keeps me motivated. I want to be part of something. I'm sure we're all like this, whether we're staff, volunteers, supporters. ambassadors for SCIAF, whatever. I think we just want to be in a situation where we feel we can do a bit more good than harm. That's what keeps me coming back. Recognising that, I think particularly for this year, recognising how awkward this year has been for us here in Scotland, and that's a word that I deliberately use, awkward. It's been inconvenient, it's been annoying, it's been frustrating at times, but then recognising that allied to that, the people who we work with overseas, when we throw their poverty into that mix, it moves from being awkward and frustrating to being, utterly desperate and something that we need to combat and something that we need to fight back against. So that's what keeps me going. And 2020 has been a really, through all the horrible things, it's been a really useful year in cementing those thoughts for me.
Absolutely. I mentioned at the start that you were a tuba playing cyclist, and I know that's just one of a number of instruments that you play, and you're a very talented musician and you're a band leader, but also you've got a young family, a demanding job at SCIAF. Why is music something that you still, this is just a question for me being nosy, but why do you manage to make time for music, and why do you do it? Why is it so important to you?
It's a lot of what I know. It kind of is me wrapped up in a little ball. I've been a member of the Salvation Army all my days, and those of you that know the Salvation Army will know that music plays a kind of central part in Salvation Army worship. So it was almost inevitable that I would get involved in the music scene, and what keeps me going with that? I just love the release that music brings me. It's something that I think helps define who I am. It's a great social release for me, and it's something that has brought me countless opportunities in life, and it's something that even in my advancing years I still love to do, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it, because it does come at quite a cost, and there's quite a lot of time spent away from the family, which is a downside. But but by the same token, it's presented me with massive amount of opportunities to meet people and to be part of a hobby that I just love. All I would say is I'm much better at playing the tuba when I'm not on a bike, and the notion that thinking I can play the tuba and I can cycle, the quantum leap from those two facts to assuming that I can play the tuba and cycle at the same time. All I needed to do was go around my house 2.5 times. I'm not going to tell you how long it took, and I'm not going to tell you how many bruises and cracked ribs there were at the end of it. So I'll never be doing that again. But I'll certainly be. I'm imagining that my last breath will be into a musical instrument of some description.
What would you be playing? What do you have a favourite piece of music to play?
Oh, I love all sorts of music. I mean, brass bands are my thing. So I guess given that I'm a brass band man, given that I'm a Salvation Army man, no doubt it would be a hymn of some description. Onward Christian Soldiers or something. I don't know. I'll play anything.
And I mean, as we as we touched on at the start as well, obviously you're a man who loves a fundraising challenge. So it seems like a good moment to go to Louise and find out exactly how you could get involved in a fundraising challenge. Were you or anyone else here want to do that? So Louise McLeod, who's head of our community engagement team. Hello. How are you, Louise?
Hello. Very good, thank you. Nice to see everybody here.
Yes. And walk with me. What exactly are we asking people to do?
So we are looking for people to take part in our new virtual challenge, which is Walk With Me, walking the distance of your diocese for Skiaf and for your parish. So the aim is to walk over 3,000 miles together, not on your own necessarily. The distance from our office in Glasgow to Bethlehem. And the closer we get, the more money we raise and the more people we can hopefully help. And we aim to reach the Holy Land together before Advent. And to do this, you can travel the distance of the most southerly parish to the most northerly parish in your diocese. And we've got distances on our website for you. So for example, in Glasgow, it would be 38 miles from Holy Name in the south side to St. Peter and Paul's in Arica, or Aberdeen, the furthest one, 215 miles. It's all on the mainlands from St Mary's Stonehaven to St Anne's and Thurso. But if you want to go further than the Glasgow one, you can pick a different diocese, obviously. It can be walking, but if you prefer cycling or running, then you can build up the miles that way. And the great thing is you can set your own fundraising target and then split the money between Skiaf and your own parish. Because we know that priests have worked really hard during the lockdown. They've live streamed masses, led groups, provided pastoral care. So we want to be able to do something to give back to the parishes as well as to support people overseas that in the countries that we're working in. So to make a difference here and at the other side of the world.
Absolutely. And what was the kind of origin of this idea? Where did it come from, Louise?
So I guess the community engagement team, there's 3 of us, myself, Nikki and Thomas. We came up with the idea in the summer. I guess walking was one of the few things that you could still freely do during the lockdown. It's free, it's good for us. I think it kept everyone sane. We wanted a joint challenge which people could do virtually, but also would bring people together. Well, we can't put on a challenge that everyone does, a mass participation event just now. By everyone contributing towards the miles, then we could be still competing towards the same challenge and the same kind of bringing some community spirit to it as well. So that was the idea of a walking challenge that we could do no matter what the challenges were. Even in the wet, even rain, snow, I guess you can keep going.
I mean, something that I realised in lockdown, and most people probably know this, but your phone actually records all the distance you walk or you travel, which can sometimes be very little, but every step you take, get your phone with you gets recorded that way. So presumably you can measure your distance with just using your phone, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know I would take my phone everywhere with me during lockdown, I guess, because I wanted to make sure I get my steps in each day, so I would be annoyed if I left it behind.
And what difference will, if people are able to raise a bit of money through this, I think for the parishes, obviously, help the parishes massively, keep them open. What difference will it make to Skiaf and who we work with?
I mean, everything raised can make a huge difference. We've got projects and we're going to be working in 8 countries, so it gives people, supports livelihoods, contributes to our emergency disaster fund. Obviously, people in countries around the world are also suffering from the coronavirus, but also the poverty pandemic, so it can make a big difference there where people are struggling anyway, and the coronavirus has obviously made things a lot worse for people overseas, so we want to be able to support them at this time as well.
Absolutely. So, if you want to sign up right now, what do they need to go and do?
Well, you can let me know right now if you like.
Feel free to shout out, you know.
Yeah. But get in touch with either myself, Thomas, or Nikki, who hopefully some of you know. We've got a joint email address, getinvolved@skiaf.org.uk, which is on our website. If you sign up, you'll get a lovely Skiaf t-shirt as well, and we'll give you more ideas for your fundraising. And also send us in your distances to let us know how many miles you've done. So there's more information on our website as well about what you can do, setting up a Just Giving page and that kind of thing.
Full instructions there on www.skiaf.org.uk. Thank you very much, Louise. I would urge everyone to go and do that immediately and to take part in what I'm sure will be a fantastic fundraising challenge. Thank you very much, Paul, as well, for speaking about your many adventures in fundraising and sharing so much about your work and your passion, which is really inspiring. Thank you to both. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It was great to see so many of you here. And we've got another couple of these events coming up towards the end of the month. Jonathan McAvity, our Senior Campaigns Officer, who I can see lurking on the edge of my screen, he'll be joining us to talk about our new campaign for a just and green world and building back better and run up to the elections next year, and talking about Skiaf's work as a campaigning organisation to try and make a better world. And after that, I'm quite excited about this one with Alistair McIntosh, the famous writer and activist who's done an amazing life and an incredible amount of stuff, and has written a new book about climate change, which is a really powerful and amazing read. I'm just finishing up just now. And he was a long-time friend of Skiaf on our board back in the 80s. And if any of you know Alistair, he's always great company and has a lot to say. So I'm sure that will be a delight on the 28th. So thank you again to Louise and Paul and for coming. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.